complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Karam Yoga, Chapter 3, The Secret of Wealth. Helping others physically by removing their physical needs is indeed great. But the help is great according as the need is greater and according as the help is far-reaching. If a man wants can be removed for an hour, it is helping him indeed. If his wants can be removed for a year, it will be more help to him. But if his wants can be removed forever, it is surely the greatest help that can be given to him. Spiritual knowledge is the only thing that can destroy our miseries forever. Any other knowledge satisfies wants only for a time. It is only the knowledge of the Spirit that the faculty of want is annihilated forever. So helping man spiritually is the highest help that can be given to him. He who gives man spiritual knowledge is the greatest benefactor of mankind. And as such, we have always find that those were the most powerful of men who help men in their spiritual deeds. Because spirituality is the true basis of all our activities in life. A spiritually strong and sound man will be strong in every other respect if he so wishes. Until there is spiritual strength in man, even physical needs cannot be well satisfied. Next to spiritual comes intellectual help. The gift of knowledge is far higher than that of food and clothes. It is even higher than giving life to a man. Because the real life of man consists of knowledge. Ignorance is death. Knowledge is life. Life is of very little value if it is a light in the dark, groping through ignorance and misery. Next in order comes, of course, helping a man physically. Therefore, in considering the question of helping others, we must always strive not to commit the mistake of thinking that physical help is the only help that can be given. It is not only the last, but also the least, because it cannot bring about permanent satisfaction. The misery that I feel when I am hungry is satisfied by eating, but the hunger returns. My misery can cease only when I am satisfied beyond all want. Therefore, it is only then that hunger will not make me miserable. No distress, no sorrow will be able to move me. So that help which tends to make us strong spiritually is the highest. Next to it comes intellectual help, and after that physical help. The miseries of the world cannot be cured by physical help alone. Until man's nature changes, these physical needs will always arise, and miseries will always be felt, and no amount of physical help will cure them completely. The only solution of this problem is to make mankind pure. Ignorance is the mother of all the evil and all the misery that we see. Let men have light. Let them be pure and spiritually strong and educated. Then alone will misery cease in the world, not before. We may convert every house in the country into a charity asylum. We may fill the land with hospitals. But the misery of man will still continue to exist until man's character changes. We read in the Bhagwad Gita again and again that we must all work incessantly. All work is by nature composed of good and evil. We cannot do any work which will not do some good somewhere. There cannot be any work which will not cause some harm somewhere. Every work must necessarily be a mixture of good and evil. Yet we are commanded to work incessantly. Good and evil will both have their results, will produce their karma. Good action will entail upon us good effect. Bad action, bad. But good and bad are both bondages of the soul. The solution reached in the Gita in regard to this bondage producing nature of work is that if we do not attach ourselves to the work we do, it will not have any binding effect on our soul. We shall try to understand what is meant by this non-attached to work. This is the one central idea in the Gita. Work incessantly, but be not attached to it. Sanskar can be translated very nearly by inherent tendency. Using the simile of a lake for the mind, every ripple, every wave that rises in the mind, when it subsides, does not die out entirely, but leaves a mark and a future possibility of that wave coming out again. This mark, with the possibility of the wave reappearing, is what is called samskar. Every work that we do, every movement of the body, every thought that we think leaves such an impression on the mind stuff. And even when such impressions are not obvious on the surface, they are sufficiently strong to work beneath the surface, subconsciously. What we are every moment is determined by the sum total of these impressions on the mind. What I am just at this moment is the effect of the sum total of all the impressions of my past life. This is really what is meant by character. Each man's character is determined by the sum total of these impressions. If good impressions prevail, the character becomes good. If bad, it becomes bad. If a man continuously hears bad words, thinks bad thoughts, does bad actions, his mind will be full of bad impressions and they will influence his thought and work without his being conscious of the fact. In fact, these bad impressions are always working and their resultant must be evil. And that man will be a bad man. He cannot help it. The sum total of these impressions in him will create the strong motive power for doing bad actions. He will be like a machine in the hands of his impressions, and they will force him to do evil. Similarly, if a man thinks good thoughts and does good work, the sum total of these impressions will be good, and they, in a similar manner, will force him to do good, even in spite of himself. When a man has done so much good work and thought so many good thoughts, that there is an irresistible tendency in him to do good in spite of himself, and even if he wishes to do evil, his mind, as a sum total of his tendencies, will not allow him to do so. The tendencies will not turn him back. Then he is completely under the influence of the good tendencies. When such is the case, a man's good character is said to be established. As the tortoise tucks its feet and head inside the shell, and you may kill it and not break it into pieces, and yet it will not come out, even so is the character of that of a man who has control over his motives and organs. He is unchangeably established. He controls his own inner forces and nothing can draw them out against his will. By this continuous reflex of good thoughts, good impressions moving forward over the surface of the mind, the tendency for doing good becomes strong. And as a result, we are able to control the indriyas, the sense organs and the nerve centers. Thus alone will character be established, then alone a man gets to the truth. Such a man is safe forever. He cannot do any evil. You may place him in any company, there will be no danger for him. There is a still higher state than having this good tendency, and that is the desire for liberation. You must remember that freedom of the soul is the goal of all yogas, and each one equally leads to the same result. By work alone, man may get to where Buddha got, largely by meditation or Christ by prayer. Buddha was a working jnani. Christ was a bhakta. But the same goal was reached by both of them. The difficulty is here. Liberation means entire freedom. Freedom from the bondage of good as well as from the bondage of bad. A golden chain is as much a chain as an iron one. There is a thorn in my finger, and I use another to take the first one out. But when I have taken it out, I throw both of them aside. I have no necessity for keeping the second thorn, because both are thorns after all. So the bad tendencies are to be counteracted by the good ones, and the bad impressions of the mind should be removed by the fresh ones of the good ones, until all that is evil almost disappears or is subdued and held in control in a corner of the mind. But after that, the good tendencies also have to be conquered. Thus the attached become the unattached. But let not the action or the thoughts produce a deep impression of the mind. Let the ripples come and go. Let huge actions proceed from the muscles and the brain, but let them not make any deep impression on the soul. How can this be done? We see that the impression of any action to which we attach ourselves remains. I may meet hundreds of persons during the day, and among them meet also one whom I love, and when I retire at night, I may try to think of all the faces I saw, but only that face comes before the mind, the face which I met perhaps only for 1 minute, and which I loved. All the others have vanished. My attachment to this particular person caused a deeper impression on my mind than all the other faces. Physiologically, the impressions have all been the same. Every one of the faces that I pictured myself on the retina, and the brain took the pictures in, and yet there was no similarity of effect on the mind. Most of the faces perhaps were entirely new faces about which I had never thought before. But that one face of which I got a glimpse found associations inside. Perhaps I had pictured him in my mind for years, knew hundreds of things about him, and this one new vision of him awakened hundreds of sleeping memories in my mind, and this one impression having been repeated perhaps 100 times more than those of different faces, together will produce a great effect on the mind.